So, what is non-duality? So before I begin anything, I want to explain what non-duality is. Just in case you haven't got that already, even though I've said it millions and billions of times, I'm going to say it again. Because that's how we tend to learn non-duality, is just hearing it again. It's not that you learn it, it's not that you're going to suddenly get it, but it's the way that it tends to be heard is through it's through the repetition of this, like energetically and mentally to an extent, is listening again and again and again, and then something wakes up. But it's not a personal thing. It's not that you wake up, you as a person that's done this or that, that's good or bad, right or wrong. It's something that happens. And it tends to be like totally immersing yourself into the subject. So what is non-duality? Non-duality is this moment, is what's happening. And in what's happening, there isn't separation. It appears to you that there's separation, but that's only because of what you think, the way in which you've been taught to look at this world. It's not an actuality. There isn't actually somebody there that's separate, experiencing a world that is apart from them. There is only this one energy that's happening. And this one energy is free and alive and awake and radical. And it's not that consciousness is inside the body. Consciousness is the things that are being experienced, the sounds that's being experienced. So what your mind says is, your mind says, I'm somebody that's inside the body and I'm listening to a Lisa that's outside of me. Whereas actually in the direct experience, there's sound happening. And there's not somebody that's listening, there is simply sounding happening. So there's this sound of my voice happening, but there's not actually someone listening to it. And the consciousness is actually in the very sound. It's not inside your head. Like we think, oh, it's going inside our ears, and then I'm hearing inside my head. And we're so convinced that's true, and that's actually what you've been taught. It's not an actuality. Like in your experience, if you shut your eyes, like you maybe can point to a direction in which the sound is coming from, but you don't know where it's being heard. It simply is appearing. Like it's not like it's being heard here, 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 here. It's a happening. And it's the same with everything. So we think that we're looking at the room, that you're looking at that wall behind me, or you're looking at me, and you're inside your body, whereas actually there is only looking happening. So there's just simply my body appearing, and there isn't a consciousness that is conscious of it. There is simply the body, and in the body there's inherent consciousness, and there's not something that is conscious of it. And this consciousness, or this awake presence, is your birthright. You didn't have to wake up in the morning and be like, let me just switch on consciousness. This is me tapping on my imaginary keyboard inside my head, turning on consciousness, and enter, and consciousness. Like, who is conscious of that? So if that is what's happening, who is conscious of that? That consciousness is the birthright. As soon as waking up happens in the morning, which you don't know how you do, there is instantaneously consciousness. And then at some point, there is somebody that pops its little head up and goes, me, I'm conscious. But that isn't who's conscious, because who is conscious of that one that pops up and says, me, I'm a conscious. Who's conscious of that? So there's something that knows that. So that person that's claiming to be everything is appearing in something that's already here and is the birthright, and it's happening instantaneously. And you aren't in control of consciousness. This me that's saying I am conscious isn't in control of consciousness, isn't tapping on a computer somewhere telling consciousness what to do. It is simply experiencing, and it's there. and you can't switch it off. You think you can blow your brains out or slit your throat or jump off a cliff and switch it off, but that's not proven. What you switch off is the body. What you switch off is memories of this life, but whether you switch consciousness off, you don't know. Our experience is that consciousness never leaves. You might think, but where does it go in deep sleep? In deep sleep, it's conscious of nothing, so therefore there is nothing. It's not that consciousness leaves, there's just no appearances in it in order to experience anything. In fact, there is no deep sleep, there's only awakeness again. We can't measure time in deep sleep. Deep sleep is timeless. And also notice how consciousness instantly knows this wall behind me. Let me just make sure my sound and everything's working, you know. Sometimes do these talks and then suddenly find out there's no sound on them. Like, oh. So with this wall behind me, notice how it's in consciousness. Like, you're not asking to see that wall. You're focused on me and your attention is on me, but also consciousness knows that wall, knows this chair without labeling it. So you might be labeling me and going, oh, she's doing a fantastic job, or she's not doing such a good job, or I like this, or I don't like that. So you might be thinking all these types of things and judging me and personifying me. But with the wall, there is no thoughts on that. You're not thinking, whoa, 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 whoa. The wall is a mystery, but yet it's appearing. And that whiteness is appearing, and you're not labeling it, but yet it's there. And it's color, it's mysterious, but it's there, happening. And then the mind comes in and says, white wall, blonde woman, white woman. I don't know if you realize, but us white people are actually pink woman. I think it's just a fear. White people don't want to be called pink because they've got a fear of pink because it's associated with women and babies and unicorns and fluffy toys and slippers, big pink fluffy slippers. So, you know, like half of the race of white people is like, I'm not pink, I am white. But I fully admit that I am pink and a kind of creamy color, but mostly pink. Yes. Well, somebody's hyper this afternoon, aren't they? I wasn't before this talk. I was just mellow, chilling, and then suddenly I turn on. It's because I gave my attention. I want to communicate it with all my might. And then here we go. So that's non-duality. Did it? Good job. Done. You got non-duality now. So then the next question, the title of this talk,